Yang kian modern. Dan Wika Beton siap berpacu bersama Indonesia. Wika Beton adalah salah satu anak perusahaan PT Wijaya Karya Persero Tbk yang bergerak di bisnis beton, yang menerapkan pola engineering, production, installation. Dengan modal pengalaman lebih dari 20 tahun dan pabrik di 14 lokasi di penjuru negeri, Wika Beton selalu menjadi perusahaan beton terdepan di Indonesia, bahkan Asia Tenggara.
Ini sudah sejalan dengan visi kami yang ingin menjadikan PT Wika Beton sebagai perusahaan terkemuka di bidang engineering, production, dan installation industri beton di Asia Tenggara.
Dan Wika Beton mencapainya melalui inovasi tanpa henti. Inovasi yang berlandaskan kesadaran bahwa perubahan adalah tuntutan dan perusahaan berkembang karena dibentuk oleh pasar. Didukung sepenuhnya oleh sumber daya manusia yang berdedikasi dan berdaya saing tinggi, sumber daya yang memberikan nilai tambah di tiap langkahnya. Pertumbuhan usaha tentu saja didorong oleh teknologi terkini, teknologi yang memungkinkan pergerakan kerja lebih cepat dan lebih akurat. Dan pengawasan kualitas yang ketat untuk memastikan kepuasan pelanggan. Perpaduan ini semua membuat Wika Beton dipercaya untuk terlibat dalam sejumlah proyek infrastruktur utama di Indonesia, seperti LRT Velodrome Kelapa Gading, MRT Jakarta, Simpang Susun Semanggi, Jembatan Tahang, Tol Desari, Pengaman Pantai Jakarta, Ready Mix Proyek Balsam, dan sejumlah proyek lain dari Sabang hingga Merauke. Komitmen Wika Beton tak berhenti pada kualitas produk dan kerja, namun juga terhadap keselamatan kerja. Wika Beton turut aktif mewujudkan pembangunan berkelanjutan di sekitar lingkungan unit kerja serta di daerah 3T, tertinggal, terdepan, terluar wilayah Indonesia melalui berbagai kegiatan corporate social responsibility sebagai bentuk tanggung jawab sosial Wika Beton pada masyarakat.
Kami, keluarga besar Wika Beton, akan terus mendukung percepatan pembangunan negeri karena kami semua adalah Indonesia.
Wika Beton untuk Indonesia.
Berawal pada tahun 2014, Adikarya Persero Tbk mendirikan anak perusahaan yang secara khusus bergerak pada industri beton pracetak dan ready mix yang resmi berdiri pada bulan Januari 2014 dengan nama PT Adi Persada Beton. Adi Persada Beton telah menyelesaikan beberapa proyek strategis nasional seperti Jalan Tol di atas Laut Benoa Bali, 6 ruas tol dalam kota, Tol Gempol Pasuruan, Tol Mojokerto Kertosono, Tol Solo Kertosono, Tol Cisumdawu, dan LRT Jabodebek. Adi Persada Beton memiliki visi untuk menjadi perusahaan unggul dengan inovasi dan pengembangan produk berkualitas untuk pertumbuhan berkelanjutan. Dengan visi tersebut, PT Adi Persada Beton memiliki misi 1. Meningkatkan kapasitas dengan membangun pabrik dan mendirikan usaha baru dengan produk inovatif. 2. Mengoperasikan pabrik dan menjalankan usaha dengan standar mutu internasional dan SMK 3. 3. Melakukan pemasaran dengan pendekatan kepada pelanggan melalui
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Now we come to second session for the parallel session at the transportation. We will get 9 presenters for this session. Everybody will have 2 minutes for present your paper, and then after finish all present the paper, we will go through to the question and answer. If any question for everybody can ask question for anyone. Please send the question into the chat room so I can read the question at the end of the session when we reach the question and answer session. Since we have 9 presenters at the session, I think we should start the session soon. So, Didik Bintoro, are you ready? Didik Bintoro or Yusuf Latif?
Yes, ready. Dr. Hera.
Okay. And then after that, following with Alivia Zahra. And then Wahyu Setyaning Budi. And then Ahmad Utanaka, following again with Mahardika Citra Partiwi. And then Ika Nurjana. Is Ika Nurjana has right? Okay, maybe still.
Yes.
Okay. And then Ahmad Nasrul Hakim. Or Muhammad Nasri, I guess.
Already.
And then Wahju Herianto and Dia and Fudoli. Okay. Let me start with presenter number ID 176, Didik Bintoro or Yusuf Latif, with paper title Development of Risk-Based Standardized Work Breakdown Structure to Improve Time Performance on High-Speed Railway Construction Project. Okay. Your time is for 10 minutes. Now is your turn to present.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. I think you're a bit louder, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Afternoon,
Not really clear though.
Hello. Yes, can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, just a bit.
Hello. Hello, can you clearly hear me, Dr. Hera?
Can you a bit louder, please?
Okay, test. Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's better, but still not that loud then. Okay then.
Good afternoon, Dr. Hera Widyastuti. Thank you for coming in this presentation. An honor to meet you here. Let me to introduce myself and my partner. I am Bintoro Jati and my partner is Professor Yusuf Latif. We are from Universitas Indonesia. In this opportunity, I would like to present our paper, The Development of Risk-Based Standardized Work Breakdown Structure to Improve Time Performance on High-Speed Railway Construction Project. For introduction, as we know, the public transportation is one of the best solutions in meeting human needs for movement or mobility to move from one place to another one. Urban areas in Indonesia are increasingly advancing in the public transport system, more so in big cities. The high population and the need for movement that causes congestion is inevitable. One of the causes of congestion in big cities is the flow of vehicles that pass through the road has exceeded the road capacity. At present, the government is looking for a solution in overcoming the problem, namely providing mass transportation system that is well supported in order to minimize the number of private vehicles. While the realization is currently, the government is carrying out several construction projects for railroad-based transportation modes, such MRT, LRT, and high-speed railway. Our concern in the development of standardized WBS is mostly for most of our project, there is no formal approved WBS. I mean approved between the owner, the project contractor, and consultant. The cost estimation based on only BOQ, bill of quantity, and then the concern number 3 is different work package and project activities on BOQ among projects and different work item. And this is the, high-speed railway project is the new one in Indonesia. The research question and objective. We have 3 questions in our paper. Number 1 is how to create a standardized WBS for high-speed railway. Number 2 is what are the risk factors based on resources, activities, and work packages that influence the time performance on high-speed railway project. And the question number 3 is how to develop a risk-based standardized WBS with the objective is to improve time performance on the project. Therefore, the objectives in this research is number one, to create standardized WBS. Number two, to identify the risk factors based on resources, activities, and work packages. And the number three is to develop the risk-based standardized WBS to improve time performance on high-speed railway construction project. As shown on the monitor, this is our research operational model. The high-speed railway construction project, we have construction methods, activities, and resources. The three factors will provide and form the WBS. And then from work data and risk management to improve time performance, we developed the standard WBS into the new WBS we call risk-based standardized WBS. For our refreshment, the work breakdown structure is the process of subdividing project deliverables and project work into the smaller, the more manageable components. And the key benefit of this process is that it provides a framework of what is to be delivered. This WBS also provides the framework for the schedule management plan, allowing for consistency with the estimates and resulting schedules. The WBS provides the relationship among all the project deliverable and their various components. This is the example of work breakdown structure. Example for the station building, the S level 1, and then the green is level 2, the light blue is level 3, and the pink level 4, and the white is level 5 and 6, for example. This is our research flowchart. We are sorry, but still in Indonesia. Start following by literature study, and then we have 3 research questions. This is the research variable, and the output for each question is standardized WBS, the dominant risk, and the developed standardized WBS. This is the research instruments we have in this research. First one is variable validation by experts, agree or not agree or disagree that the variable is the part of WBS. And then phase 2 is where we are provide questionnaire and interview to the expert to obtain the most dominant risk. And the phase 3 is discussing the causes, preventive actions, impacts, and corrective actions, and also risk responses as well. This is the example of questionnaire we are provide to our respondent about the risk, whether this is a significant risk or not, and then also the frequency and impacts of each risk. The significances will provide score start from 1 to 5 for each frequencies and impacts.
Didi, 3 minutes left.
Yes, this is, I'm sorry, this is the data analysis from 5 projects we study. They're continued by 5 experts for validation, pilot survey, and respondent. We have 30 respondent. And the data we have provided the homogeneity test, validity test, and reliability test. And all the 3 tests has passed as our expectation. This is the example of the cause impact analysis. We have 40 causes and 7 impacts. And then for the 40 causes, we have taking follow-up by preventive action. We have 42 preventive action. I'm sorry, still in Indonesia. And then corrective action, we have 22 corrective actions to follow up the impacts. This is a pattern recognition sample. For example, risk variable number X10, we have 8 causes, elements, and 21 preventive action. And then the X number 10 is also results for impacts. And then this 4 impacts will be followed up by 15 corrective actions. This is the research question number 1. We have 6 elements in level 1, 11 elements in level 2, 44 elements in level 3, and so on, and 228 elements at level 4. This is the example for track. We have tunnel, and for level 2, level 3, and level 4. This is the 15 most dominant risks that influence the time performance of high-speed railway projects. And we have ranked the 15, start from X24 to X17. And then this is the example of developed risk-based standardized. For signaling and telecommunication system, we have developed the WBS. And the conclusion is standardized WBS for high-speed railway construction. We have 6 elements, as we also previously stated. And the number 2 is there is 15 dominant risks. And based on conclusion number 1 and number 2, we have conclusion number 3, that is development of risk-based WBS to improve time performance on high-speed railway construction. We hope that we perform and construct the project with this WBS, we will minimize the risk of time performance, maybe for late or delays for the projects. That's all my files, Dr. Hera.
Okay,
and
great.
For question and answer,
I think we will, the question and answer will be at the last session. And I mean, after all the present the paper, and then we will go to the question and answer. So just stay there, and then we will. Thank you, Pak
thank you
Didi.
very much, Dr. Hera, and ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Please close your screen.
Traffic transport to segi 8 CBD calculated as below: working time, estimated travel time, and also added with working time. All the data is then added in the GIS, so the accessibility map of public transport is like this. The fastest is still in CBD Sungkono, and the longest took place in Segi 8 CBD. Conclusion. This research is designed to calculate the travel time from a TOD transit point, JW terminal, to Surabaya CBD. Based on the travel time survey result, you can see in the table in the graphic, it shows the better accessibility to Surabaya CBD by private vehicle at this time.
1 minute left.
This difference can occur because the public transport with an extra time for waiting queues or angkot arrival and working time for rescue staff. So for further research, it recommend to find the several scenarios to develop the accessibility of JW terminal, accessibility for public transport, so it can bring the successful of ride in the park and ride concept, and also transit in the transit-oriented development concept itself. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Olivia, for your present. And then we're continuing with the third person. Okay. Wahyu Setianing Budi, with paper ID 188, and then with the title Identifying the Accident Classification and Vehicle Speed at Primary Road, case study Ahmad Yani Road and Diponegoro Road, Surabaya. Okay. 10 minutes. Time is yours. Wahyu Setianing Budi.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'm Wahyu Satyani Budi. I'm a civil engineering student at Institute of Technology 10 November, Surabaya. And today I'm going to talk about our paper entitled Identifying Accident Classification and Vehicle Speed at Primary Road with case study Ahmad Yani Road and Diponegoro Road, Surabaya City. Okay, this traffic accident is also influenced by the habits of road users. Habit of road users who don't comply with regulation tend to take risky decisions, such as driving at high speed has become a culture in the community. Undisciplined behavior often causes traffic accidents. Hence, management is needed to improve the culture of orderly traffic. And as the second largest city in Indonesia, Surabaya City has a quite complex road network with a very high population mobility movement. It can encourage traffic jam and accidents. And in Surabaya City, the traffic accident increase every year, such as Ahmad Yani Road and Diponegoro Road, which are locations of the backside area. And considering this condition, identifying is needed related to differences in the classification of accident and vehicle speed that can cause accident in both locations. So this is the location of our study. The location of this research is on Ahmad Yani Road and the Diponegoro Road. Both locations have quiet, crowded, and there are a lot of accidents. For location, the date of Ahmad Yani Road can be seen in the left side, and the location detail to Bonogoro Road can be seen in the right side, and the data of both roads can be seen in this table. So for the data used in this study are secondary data and primary data. Secondary data can be obtained from relevant instances, while primary data is obtained from direct observation in study area. And this the data and this function. So with the method of this study, data analysis was carried out using the 5W plus 1H approach, namely why, what, who, where, when, and how. In detail, the classification of the occurrence of accident by grouping as follows. First, classification based on the year. Second, classification based on early morning, early morning, daytime, and night. And the third, classification based on weekdays, weekdays, and weekends. And the fourth, classification based on the subjects involved, which are motorcycle, light vehicle, heavy vehicle, and pedestrian. And the last is classification based on the type of casualty or severity. And the determination of block spot area have been analyzed using several methods, including accident rates, fatality rates, accident equivalent number, and cumulative summary. And for the speed data have been collected come from measurement using electronically speed gun, and the data then tested for normality distribution as well as other standard statistical analysis method. In addition, the speed limit on primary artery road for the hub or urban area is 40 km per hour. So this is the result and discussion. Accident classification on Ahmad Yani Road is on this table, and data analysis for around 5 years divided into several categories, and the most traffic accident based on the year is in 2017. Moreover, the most traffic accident based on the time is in weekday, Monday and Thursday, and also happen in the morning between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. And the most traffic accident based on the subject involved is motorcycle, and the most accident based on the severity is slight injuries. Whereas accident classification on Diponegoro Road, the most traffic accident based on the year is also 2017, and the most traffic accident based on the time is Thursday on the weekday, and happens in the morning too, between 9 p.m. and 11 a.m. Moreover, the most traffic accident based on the subject involved is motorcycle, and also the most traffic based on the severity is slight injuries. And this is the uh, black spot area. Ahmad Yani Road and Diponegoro Road, Surabaya have two sides, which are west side and east side. Moreover, there are intersections on both routes. So, for block spot area for each route, based on the result of analysis are follows. For on the west side of Ahmad Yani Road is in stationing 0 plus 300 till stationing 100 till plus 400 0 plus 400. And this is all the result for the block spot area for each route. And for intersection of Diponegoro Road is there is in Diponegoro del Sutomo intersection. And for the vehicle speed on Ahmad Yani Road, Surabaya, the average speed on west side Ahmad Yani Road is 49.6 km per hour, and the average speed on the east side Ahmad Yani Road is 50.87 kilometers per hour, whereas the average speed on west side Diponegoro Road is 43.44 km per hour. The average speed on the east side Diponegoro Road is 42.2 km per hour. Moreover, based on this table, the average speed on the Diponegoro Sutomo intersection is 40.36 km per hour. So, for the conclusion of this study, the most traffic accident on Ahmad Yani Road and Diponegoro Road as the primary artery occur on weekdays. Moreover, most time accidents occur in the morning at 8 till 11 a.m. This could be possible because road users are in a rush to go to work or other important activities, and it could be they are less aware of their driving speed that has
1
exceeded.
minute left.
Thank you. The speed limit for urban areas, which is 40 km per hour, by considering both roads are arterial route. So it needs more appeals and socialization about speed limit for road user. Furthermore, it is expected to make road user more disciplined to drive on the road. And this is the end of our presentation. That's all. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Wahyu, for your presentation. And then we come to the fourth person, Utanaka, yeah, with ID number 195, with the paper title following subjective cost of motorcyclists in Surabaya. Okay, 10 minutes for your presentation, Ahmad Utanaka. Now it's your turn.
Thank you for the time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ahmad Utanaka, and I will present about our paper entitled Valuing Subjective Cost of Motorcyclists in Surabaya. For the last few decades, motorcycle number has increased significantly in Indonesia. It could be increased more and even could exceed the population number. Unfortunately, the increased number of vehicles usually following with number of accidents, which is dominated by motorcycle. The World Health Organization has informed that the accident is included in the top 10 causes of death in the world. Concerning about the highest number of motorcycles accident, the subjective cause which is expressing pain, grief, and suffering as the result of an accident needed to be carried out to know how the motorcyclist willing to protect themselves from an accident. Data used in this study is the primary data obtained from the Stated Preference Survey. A survey conducted on citizens of Surabaya as the respondents. Several locations that were surveyed are at the city park, food court, and university. Respondents are given some willingness to pay choices by hypothetical situation. In this case, those choices are how much they will spend their money to reduce the accident probability. And this table shows the willingness to pay choices, its severity level, and its accident reduction. After we get the willingness to pay choices, then we analyze it with binary logic manner and willingness to pay value. There are variations in respondent based on state preference survey results. Based on age, it dominated by category 20 until 24 years. Based on income, it dominated by category 2 million until 2,500,000 rupiah until 3,750,000 rupiah. And based on number of children, it dominated by have no children. The binary logic model equation for willingness to pay choices can be written as follows. From the four equation model that have been obtained show the similarity. It can be interpreted that every increases in age and income will increase willingness to pay log probability. But if the number of children increase, it will reduce willingness to pay log probability. This table shows some scenarios of binary logic model analysis. For scenario 1, proves that with age increment, but income and number of children are constant, the probability of reducing a traffic accident risk will increase. Scenario 2 proves that with income increment, but age and number of children are constant, the probability of reducing a traffic accident risk will increase. And scenario 3 proves that with the number of children increment, but age and income are constant, the probability of reducing a traffic accident risk will decrease. And willingness to pay value for the risk reduction of serious injuries can be rounded to 126,500,000 rupiah. And the average willingness to pay value of the slight injuries risk reduction can be rounded to 13 million rupiah. From this study, we can obtain some conclusion. Variables that affect the willingness to pay choices are age, variable, and number of children. Variable in each equation have a significant level than 0.1 or 10%, so that is still acceptable and has an effect on the equation model. The four equation model that have obtained from the show similarity, it can be interpreted that increasing in age and income will improve the probability motorcyclists to protect themselves from an accident. However, when the number of children increases, it will reduce probability. Willingness to pay value of motorcyclists on the risk reduction serious injuries is 126,500,000 rupiah, while willingness to pay value of motorcyclists on the risk reduction of slight injuries is 13 million rupiah. That's all that I can present about the paper. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Aka. Tanaka, you haven't reached the end. I mean the time is still some for you, but actually it's good. So we can go through to the presenter number 5 with ID number 198, Mahardika Citra Pratiwi, with the paper titled Student Satisfaction with the Performance of Surabaya School Buses. Are you ready, Mahardika?
Yes.
Okay. You can share your paper or your PPT, okay? And time, your time is 10 minutes. You can use it for, and then I will inform you if the time less, that's 3 minutes and then 1 minute, okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
And good afternoon. My name is Mardika Citra, Honorable Dr. Hera Widya Stuti as a moderator, and the honorable participants of ICCER. Thank you for giving me time to introduce my presentation, and I would like to present my presentation with the title of Student Satisfaction on School Bus Performance in Surabaya. Okay, first I will explain about my research background. One transportation issue is still trending in some big cities such as mobility needs, traffic jam, traffic accident, traffic density. Two, public traffic service profession must concern on tendencies as need satisfaction, safety, passengers comfort. One of the needs of public transportation to solve this problem is a school bus because students are one who has high mobility at certain times. Okay, the formulation of problem. How are the performances of free school bus service in Surabaya? How is passengers' satisfaction toward free school bus service in Surabaya? The aim and advantages of research to find out the facilities and services provided by Surabaya school bus, whether they are appropriate with passengers' wishes or not. To find out passenger satisfaction toward free school bus service in Surabaya. Academic advantages can be as student satisfaction, research preference toward school bus performance in Surabaya, as well as consideration for transportation science or research related to school bus. Practical advantages, giving real description of Surabaya school bus service for people and operators that involved in my school bus in Surabaya. This research hopefully can give information of school bus management regarding student satisfaction. Research location, Route 1, South Surabaya Road, Department of Transportation in SMA Complex. Route 2 is Surabaya Road, Bungkut Sub-District to SMPN 1. Route 3, West Surabaya Road, Kandas Sub-District to SMPN 1 Surabaya. Route 4, West Surabaya Road, Rusun Romo Kalisari to Baratajaya. Okay. Literature review. In the literature review, discusses some of the references are the quality of school bus transportation system, passenger satisfaction, parameter for using public transportation. Data collection. This research uses two kinds of data. They are primary data and secondary data. Primary data, this data is obtained from survey and observation toward public school bus regarding the characteristic of condition service and school bus trip. The researchers uses closed question and collecting data by questionnaire that spread to all students to get their satisfaction over the school bus performances. Secondary data, school bus service route obtained from the Department of Transportation in Surabaya, the number of school bus passengers obtained from Department of Transportation in Surabaya, time of school bus service obtained from Department of Transportation in Surabaya, school bus services that are running obtained from Department of Transportation, the previous study that related to this topic. Okay, population and sample. Population and sample. Population of research are students who use school bus in Surabaya. Sample. The sample uses Isaac and Michael Patron. Product route Dinas Perhubungan 66. The route of Rungkut Sub-District Office 55. The route of Tanda Sub-District Office 61. Rusuromo Kalisari route 30. Survey method, school bus operational performance. There's researchers who face drivers and management performances and services based on service indicator. Passengers satisfaction. These researchers survey passengers satisfaction by giving questionnaires regarding to their condition and visit. Data analysis technique. The analysis of school bus service performance. There is load factor, traveling speed, travel time, service frequency, the number of school bus, passenger waiting time, service time, start and trip. Analysis of passenger satisfaction towards school bus service, seeking the price of suitability by using ICCER, Cartesius diagram by using SPSS 23O program. The discussion, school bus performance in Surabaya, passenger satisfaction toward free school bus service in Surabaya, Surabaya school bus performance, route work assessment based on comparison data assessment parameter of school bus in Surabaya, the observation and interview results of public vehicle service standard obtained, the load factor, average, trip speed, the number of vehicles in operation, waiting time are in good category. The factor average is 80% and less than 70%. The school bus speed is more than 10 km per hour. Regression linear based on linear regression. Regression analysis products in the table below. T arithmetic products 5.421 greater than T table 1.562. It can be concluded that there is a significant effect. Okay, the expectation value is higher than the performance with a satisfaction score of 4% compared to the expectation of 4.42% and the respondents 90% conformity level. Okay. Passenger satisfaction for free school bus service Surabaya output Based on Cartesian diagram above, it can be seen on a quadrant. There are 5 variables, while the quadrant has 7 variables. Sorry. Okay. Conclusion. There are 5 satisfaction tools deemed by respondents as important things to rise them up, such as passengers, comfort, the easiness to get seats, the condition of seats, of the completeness of first aid, and safety equipment. The load factor average in all full bus in medium category. Surabaya school bus speed reaches more than 10 km per hour. The number of vehicles in operation is 70% and waiting time less than 20 minutes. This is in good category, while the service time average vehicle frequency and start and trip and in that category. Thank you. That's all for my presentation today.
Okay, thank you, Mahardika, for your presentation. And then we go to paper ID 199. Mahardika, would you please close your screen? Eka Nurjanah or Ahmad Nazar Hakim Ibrahim or Muhammad Nasir Burhan. Is they ready?
Yeah.
Okay, with your paper is about the satisfaction analysis for the performance of public transportation in Jabodetabek. Okay, who will present? Is it Eka? Okay, 10 minutes for your presentation. Now is your time.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eka Nurjana. Here I am gonna present you about the satisfaction analysis for the performance of public transportation in Jabodetabek by Eka Nurjana, myself, and Ahmad Nazrul Hakim Ibrahim, Muhammad Nazri Borhan from Faculty of Engineering and Built Environment, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Here's the outlines for my presentation. First one is statement of the problem, research objective of study, significance of study, methodology, and conclusion. Here's the statement of the problem. As we can see, this is the comparison of population in 2010 and population in 2015. So the growth of population in Jakarta in period of 2010 to 2015 is 1.05% per year. The increasing number of private vehicles is 8.75% per year, while the improvement made for the road is just 0.05% per year. So we can see here the balance between the population in Jakarta and the number of private vehicle and also the improvement made for the road. And here's the picture for the traffic congestion in Gatot Subroto and Hai. And also this is the traffic congestion around Casablanca Street after working hours and at Gunung Sari Street and also at MH Tamrin Street. The research objectives here are two. First, to evaluate the level of passenger satisfaction towards rail district or KRL performance, and second one is to identify what needs to be improved from public transportation to attract private transport user into public transportation. So there are 4 scope of study in this research. It is used statistical information for traffic and transportation data at Jabodetabek area. And then it has 3 steps analysis. First, the selection of study area, then spreading out the questionnaire, and the last one is analyze the data obtained. Research will be focused largely on the measures for satisfaction of passengers, which could be applied in several areas in Indonesia. And then the main reason to select the Jabodetabek because of this megacity has traffic congestion. There are three significance of study research. The first one is to examine the level of satisfaction of performance of public transportation service. And then second, impact of the data obtained on the performance of public transport. The last one is it will help various public transport providers to improve their service in order to retain, maintain, and attract more users. There are two methodology. So the analysis used is descriptive quantitative that is to accurately describe the properties of an individual state or the symptoms of a particular group or influence in public relation. And also this research focused on structural equation modeling or SEM and using mode of structural analysis software or AMOS. So here's the research structure flowchart. First of all is determination of the problem, then we have literature review, prepare questionnaires, and we have this primary data, questionnaires and observations with data analysis, structural equation modeling, and of structural analysis software, then result discussion, conclusion, and recommendation. Here is the study area of Jabodetabek, Jakarta, Bogor, Depok, Tangerang, and Bekasi. And here is the method of sampling. So we refer from the Karachi and Morgan Daryl in 70. We have this, the last population more than 10 million. We have this sample of 384. Here's the methods and data collection. We have like two data, primary data and secondary data. Primary data is questionnaires and observations, while secondary data from books, journals, papers, and other documents from the which are relevant to this research. Before we conduct the research, we conduct the pilot study. It aims to reduce the problems of respondents in answering questions on questionnaires that will have a high impact to low-high response rate of respondents, and also to find out the level of reliability and validity of the questionnaire. We have three tests conducted in this research. First is validity, second is reliability, third is structural equation model. Here is the respondents' demographic information from each group, like from the gender. As you can see, the majority is the male with a percentage of 61.5, and also age with the majority of age is 18 to 25 years old with percentage of 44.9. Occupation is dominated by the private employee with a percentage of 26.9, and the lowest one is the working not working group with percentage of 2.1. Here is the standardized factor loadings in overall CFA model. So the constructs are service quality, which is the core service, and then the service quality, which is the physical environment, then value, satisfaction, and behavioral intention with spectrum shown here. And here is the goodness of fit in this table, with the marks are all fit because it is in the range of acceptable value taken from Shah and Goldstein in 2006. And here's the results of Cronbach's alpha and convergent validity for overall CFA model. As you can see, here's the factor loading section, Cronbach's alpha, ABE, or average variance extract, and CR or composite reliability. with the highest one is for the Cornbeck's alpha is the self-service quality with a value of 0.9, and the lowest one is satisfaction with the value of 0.8. For every, the highest one is behavioral intention with a value of 0.8, and the lowest one is service quality with 0.5. And also the last one is CR with the highest value of 0.9 by service quality, and the lowest one is the perceived value with the value is 0.8. Here is the table for discriminant validity for overall CFA model. And this is the structural model for the service quality, perceived value, behavioral intention, and satisfaction. And here is the results of hypothesized causal effects of the constructs, where service quality to perceived value is supported, service quality to satisfaction is supported, while service quality to behavioral intention is rejected, and also perceived value to satisfaction is rejected. And on the other hand, perceived value to behavioral intention is supported, and satisfaction to behavioral intention is supported. So here is the conclusion. Overall, the KRL passengers in Jabodetabek feel this
1 minute left.
with the service provided and the performance of KRL. Nevertheless, the involvement of passengers in public transportation, especially KRL, and the behavioral intention of passengers to continue using KRL remains high. Here, there are some things that need to be improved in public transportation to attract private transport users into public transportation. Based on the results obtained, factors that contribute in the intention of people to use KRL are punctuality, comfort in waiting for the train, stops behavior, fares, clean lines, and so on. Okay, that's all for my presentation today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eka, for your presentation. And then we go through to the 7%.
And Thailand, they have the Bangkok as well. Urbanization occurs because people move from rural area to urban area. For instance, statistics reported that 80% of people live in urban area in European countries due to this phenomenon. There are several factors that contributed to the urbanization. The main factor is the economic growth. Rural urban migration is happening on a massive scale due to population pressure and lack of resources in rural area. So people living in rural area are pulled to the city. Often, they believe that the standard of living in urban area will be much better compared to the rural area. This is because the economic growth in the city area is rapidly increased. People also believe that the urban area can provide them with a good and sufficient job opportunity. This is because why people move to urban area from the rural area. In addition, the natural increase also played an important role to develop the urbanization process. The decrease in the death rate while the birth rate remains high contribute to the high number of populations. So the urbanization phenomena lead to the several impacts. The major and the real impact is the massive increase the number of population in the city area. This is so-called the urban agglomeration. The high number of population is result to the high demand of transport for commuting. This is increased to the trip generation in the city area. In addition, as mentioned in many literatures in this domain, the urbanization phenomena also result to the higher dependence on private transport, which is the most serious issue in today's modern society. So, okay, there are several impacts due to the dependence on private transport, such as the socio-economic effect. For example, the massive traffic congestion, risk to the road accident, and increase the travel time and cost. In addition, the dependence on the private transport lead to the economic environmental burden, such as air and noise pollution, and also large carbon dioxide emission. The socio-economic effects and the environmental effect lead to the health effect and involuntary uptake of the sedentary lifestyle. So, as reported in the vast transport literature, public transport is the important element in the global propagation towards solving this challenge. However, according to the previous study, the public uses is remain low in many parts of the globe compared to the private transport. For example, in Malaysia, only 70% trips were made by the public transport in Kuala Lumpur in 2017, while 83% were made by private transport. This is due to the private transport is more attractive in terms of flexibility, comfort, faster, and others. And also, in addition, the other reason for this, the service quality provided is not meet the passenger satisfaction. In other words, the passenger do not satisfy with the service provided. Thus, this challenge shed the insight toward the study to improve the satisfaction toward the public transport service in current situation, provided initial information towards the foundation of the study related to this topic. So, the approach was used in this study is the literature search. As this paper is the review paper, we focus on the transport and marketing literature who discuss related to the topic of user satisfaction, service quality, and others. So, based on the previous work, this is the definition of the term of the antecedent and the consequence of the passenger satisfaction. The first is the perceived quality. Perceived quality is the passenger judgment about the entity's service containing overall excellence and superiority. And the second is the perceived value. Perceived value is the overall passenger assessment based on their perception of the service in terms of perceived costs and also perceived benefits that offered by service provider. And the third is passenger satisfaction. It is the user's feeling of pleasure or disappointment resulting from comparing a service perceived quality in relation to his or her expectation. The complaint is the response due to the perceived dissatisfaction towards the service, and loyalty is reuse the service again in the future, and also the willingness to recommend the service to the others. Okay. Sorry. Okay, next I would like to discuss the relationship of the construct based on the comprehensive literature review. The relationship between perceived quality and the perceived value is direct towards the passenger satisfaction. In addition, the evidence from the previous study proved that passenger satisfaction has direct effect on complaint and loyalty as well. So, thus the interrelationship of this study among the construct in this study lead to developing the conceptual framework as here. The perceived value, the perceived quality was predicted to have the positive effect toward the perceived value and the passenger satisfaction. In addition, the perceived value was also predicted to have the positive effect to the passenger satisfaction, and the passenger satisfaction was predicted to have the negative and positive effect towards the passenger complaint and loyalty respectively. And the complaint was predicted to have the negative effect on the loyalty. Okay, we are moving to the conclusion part. We are moving to the conclusion part. Based on the literature review, we can conclude that the perceived quality and the perceived value is the antecedent of the passenger satisfaction, while the passenger complaint and loyalty is the consequent of the passenger satisfaction. And this study also proposed the conceptual framework as I showed before. And for the future research, suggested to extend the proposed conceptual framework by adding another construct in the proposed conceptual framework, such as the trust, perceived expectation, and also the image. In addition, this study will also future studies should investigate relationship among the construct where the data from different cases studies such as the rail transit, bus, and taxi. And this is the reference for this study. And that's bringing us to the end. I would like to thank you for your time and attention today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nasrul, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, now we go through to next presenter, Wahyu Herianto, with paper ID 214, and the title Improvement of Trip Attraction Model in Surabaya by Considering Geographical Buying of City Center Activity Function. Wahyu, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay, 10 minutes is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Wijayasuti. I would like to share my presentation. Yes. Good afternoon for all participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My paper is improvement of the trip assignment model in Surabaya by considering geographical weighting of city center activity function. I would like to introduce my team member. Is Wahyu Herianto from ICCER, and then my supervisor is Professor Indra Surya Mukhtar, also from ITS, and the second supervisor is Dr. Ahmad Prasono from Brawijaya University. For the introduction, first of all, we must consider that in the concept of the transportation demand modeling, conventionally there is a four stages sequential modeling: trip generation, trip distribution, modal split, and trip assignment. And trip attraction position is in the first. This is part of trip generation. Conventionally, variables usually are attributes of activity center in all zones. And then sometimes there are employment data or data we will encounter later. And regression model is very common. Accuracy usually low in Surabaya. This is my studi in 95 and 2005. In 1995, there is published land use data in Surabaya, but after 95, the data is vanished from public. So the data in 2005 has been unavailable. And then we encountered Tiki studi in 1975 using linear multiple regression and incorporated distance from the city center. Surabaya is in East Java, and this is the city. We would like to improve the trip attraction model accuracy. So we based on 31 zones. This is the district administration of Surabaya. And then we see that there are activity centers in Surabaya. But where is the city center? This is port. This is a regional center, the wholesale trading, and this is we call it new CBD, but not new anymore. This is start from 1940 in the Netherlands occupied area. There are now newer and newest central business district, but we don't know the scale. We don't know the scale. And we want to incorporate the city centers in the model and the data collection, trip attraction from household interview survey from Surabaya Transportation Board in 2011. So this is the most comprehensive data in Surabaya until now. There are several studies before in 91 and then in 28, but the most comprehensive is in 2011. So we use Google Earth and track slider to 2011, and then we digitizing in order to know the floor area of shopping, industry, office, etc. And then this is the data. The data is about this is DJ is daily trip attraction, and then X1, X2 until X6. This is floor area of street shopping place, and then bank, yeah, and university, industry and warehouse, and then small shopping mall and shopping center, and then distance. This is the average distance between central city center to the residential areas. And we try to apply the decay model with multiple linear regression incorporating distance. This is distance. And we found that chi-square between the model and the data is around 100,000. Then we will incorporate the city center by using three definitions from Park and Burgess in 1925. This is concentric model. From Hoyt in 1939, this is a sector model, and then Harry Schulman, 1975, the multiple nuclei model. Which one is the city center in Surabaya? We use geographic weighting. This is from geographically weighted regression, Coteringham 2002, and then our model is non-linear, so we use generalized reduced gradient nonlinear method from Lasdon. The first, we consider concentric center from Burgess. So this is the city center, and the rest is periphery area. So there is two group of geographic. We will weighting them, and then the model is like this. This is a coefficient with K. K1 is for the centers, and K2 is for the periphery area from X1, X2, X3, X4, X5, and X6 for the distance. We found the chi-square is slightly better than the conventional one, and the distance is not influence the trip. And then we calculate the Hoyt sector center. This is the assumption of sector center. And then we found that this model with two group also, K1 and K2, with A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, etc. And we found that the chi-square is better than the Burgess. Burgess is better than conventional. The height better than the Burgess concentric, and then the distance is influenced slightly, and then we use Harris-Ullman assumption of multi-nuclei center. So the sub-district that have shopping mall in 2011, we define it as a city center, and we found that the chi-square is better, and this model is not influenced by distance. Then we combine the Burgess, Hoyt, and Harris-Ullman.
3 minutes left.
Thank you. This is the Burgess, this is the Hoyt, and this is Harris-Ullman. And so we have three scale of city center, the centrum one, and then the corridor one, and then the satellite one. And the chi-square is far better, yeah, only 300,000. And distance is influence the trade. So we have 4K, A1 until A4, B1 until B4, C1 until C4, etc. And then from the chi-square value, we can see that the concentric model is better 6% than the conventional one, than the DG one. And then the sector model make it betterment 29%, multiple nuclei model 36 model. And then the three level of city center will give a betterment of accuracy until 60%. But we use many constant, yeah. And then we compare it with a Heyman model of drift distribution doubly constrained. There are n 2n constant. Then conclusion, this method will give accuracy increase until 60% in survey.
1 minute left.
Yeah, PG tracing and measuring process is very time consuming, and abundant trained labor should be incorporated into work using this method. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Wahyu, for the present your paper. And then last presenter, Ibu Dia Iriani. 10 minutes is yours.
Do you hear my microphone?
Yeah. But we cannot see your face though.
No, I hide from you especially. Okay, good evening everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yes, everyone in good condition. Today I plan to...
Slideshow, please.
Already.
Yeah, because you haven't shown you.
Okay, today
slideshow. I think it's better you make it slideshow. Yeah, great.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
We will discuss about the port standard. So I give the paper title of the selection of the international port design standards applicable for Indonesia. And as usual, we have to have topics for the discussion. First, introduction, propose of the research, select selection criteria, because we will evaluate some criteria for selection. One of the best standard can be applied to design in Indonesia, in standard design for Indonesia. And for evaluation of the standards conclusion, and I will show the reference. The background of this research was actually my own experience in designing port in Indonesia. We are the largest country with large number of port, as well as the variation of function and any hierarchy of the port. So we have actually a series of major drawbacks or major problems occurring on port construction and all the construction problem or construction process. First of all, which is very important, is that most of the designer using unknown standards, unknown standard without legal consequences. Therefore, several problems with the failure of the structures, and nobody can be blamed for the failure, etc. And the rest of the problem is only the impact of the first problem. And in the world, we can meet three most widely used standards for port design. And here I will choose as well as the basic for the evaluation for design standard in Indonesia. And then we will withdraw some criteria, and this criteria was withdrawn based on 300 port projects that I collected the data long time ago, or I can say 30 years of my career. I collect all the data, and yeah, from all the data I can withdraw some conclusion, and we can see here what is the problem. Then all the criteria will be weighed and scored. Yeah? Here is the scatter of the data. For some places, sometimes I had 5 to 10 sometimes, yeah, to 10 project. For example, in the area of Pupuk Iskandar Muda in Aceh, or in the area of Port of Belawan Medan, I have 4 to 5 project, etc. Here we can see here, or somewhere here I have about 10 project, so we can evaluate what is the problem. And this research expected to give idea for the Indonesian authority or whoever to, as soon as possible, deliver a standard for Indonesian port design. And the benefit, especially for the higher education or university education, that we can provide a curriculum or a subject or material that in line with the standard. Because nowadays I met several students or several experts, they disputing or they confronting each other because there is no firm basis for the design. And the 3 standards that I chose is British standard, BS 6349. This is the most elaborate standards. It is very old, or I may say the oldest standard in the world. But this standard is extensively thick, or I must say thick, because it consists of more than 10,000 pages. So I have, yeah, I have to spare my time to open all those. But nowadays, yeah, it's a bit easier because we have ebook. Yeah? And then we use the EAU. This is a German standards. This is also very good standard. And we can also choose the Japan standard, OCDI, and this is the latest publication of 2009. We cannot use three of them, but we have to choose because they have different basis of calculating or anything. Then we can see later that they have difference. So we have only option to choose one of them. Therefore, I made the evaluation. Hopefully, it can make easier for anybody to choose which one is the best standard to be applied in Indonesia. And the criteria that I deliver for this evaluation is, first of all, that the standard should coverage the detailed guidance and coverage as much as possible type of structure in the area of port or in port area. For example, some standards doesn't cover breakwater or dredging, but the others standard cover all or most of the possibility of the structure type in the coastal area or in port area. Yeah? So we have to choose this criteria and evaluate all the standard based on the first criteria. And second, that the design procedure and load patterns I consider very important. Construction lifetime and safety factor formulae and or equation should be available in the standard, and monitoring and inspection. These 5 criteria is sufficient, and I consider that at this first approach that all these criteria can be weighted equally. So for example, all the criteria weighted 100, so each criteria will be weighted 20. Yeah? The overall coverage, as I previously explained briefly, that it has advantages to most user in Indonesia because we have a lot of, maybe 95% of the whole world type of port structure will be available in Indonesia. So we require all those kind of possibility of guidance on the structural type in port or in coast. And the design procedure also, I consider that this is the most important problem that we face in Indonesia. Most engineers, sometimes students or the lecturer itself, they are confused with what is the best procedure to be applied. Yeah? Therefore, in the standard should be covering the design procedure and the best load patterns. The construction time and safety factors, the formula to calculate, this is also important or urgent to be available in the standards, and this will help for the education. For example, calculating bearing capacity will be done by 100 different ways by 100 different engineers. When we have standards, then we can eliminate to 1 or 2 or 3 formula to be used. That's reduce the possibility of confusion. And the last criteria, which is monitoring and inspection, this is also 60% of the problem in Indonesia, that we have port without good inspection. Now, after settle the criteria, then I start with the evaluation. First of all, for the British standard, concerning the criteria number 1, here shows that British standard have the most complete coverage concerning the structure, the maritime structure. British standard 6349 is covering, here I write it down, part 1 to part 8. So it is covering almost 11 types of structures. Yeah? This is the most complete standards. On the other hand, EAU give we can say less or a bit equal to OCDI, but EAU more in focus to the structure of WARF or key wall. Yeah? And OCDI, as I previously stated, that this is less complete standards. Considering the design procedure, PS 649 deliver less, unfortunately, less clear, yeah, less clear, or I must say extremely unclear, yeah, unclear procedure. And but on the other side, not working, they give a clear and overall consideration to any positive possibility of the load or forces occurs on the structures. And the most amazing, I'm sorry, I have a grandson, so maybe a little voice here. This is two grandson of mine. I'm sorry, yeah. And this is, and the British standard provide the best, I'm sorry, yeah, the best example for the construction of the structure pattern to Indonesia, because maybe 60% of the structure in Indonesia adopting this standard. We see here, this is available in British standard as well as in most of the structure in Indonesia. This one also. But EAU, I can say more quickly, provide less popular to Indonesian designer. Yeah? OCDI gave a rather equal to Indonesian common practice in engineer. So we are practicing using this type of structure, but the British standard give a better overview. For construction time and safety factors, British standard give some factors to be reviewed. First of all, that they give safety factors based on probability level. This is a very firm basis for the design, because most or other standards, most of the standard, they are not using statistical base or approach. Yeah? And the EAU, on the other hand, give the best base or the best assumption for the safety factor. They use statistical approach. For example, they use the limit state for the several limit state, yeah, for the safety factor. And this was adapted to maybe almost all the European code nowadays, that the safety factor was based on statistical approach. If we compare to OCDI, they are not using statistical approach. This is a bit dangerous, because if anything happens, then we cannot trace why. But for the EAU, we can easily trace why we have failure. We can see what's wrong. And the fourth criteria that I consider very important is the formula to calculate the structure. PS 6349 give complete equation, yeah? But PS 49 should be adjusted or connected to other British standard. That is the weakness. I mean that we have to read all the British standard before we can conclude something. Yeah. and British standard can be as large as one library. They have very extensive code. EAU gave rather simple but not so complete. OCDI gave simple but complete. They have simple guidance and simple formula or equation, complete, yeah, complete to almost all the problem. And the fifth criteria is the monitoring and inspection. This one is not so complete available in BS 6049 as well as in but in EAU, I'm sorry, but in EAU they provide relatively complete, yeah, instruction on how to monitor, inspect, and supervise any detail of the structure. This is very good for monitoring and inspection. OCDI also, they gave a quite good monitoring and inspection aspect. But if we have to compare, EAU is giving highest. Unfortunately, I only give the score 1 to 4. I cannot give 3.5. So for EAU, I give 4. For OCDI, should be 3.2 or 3.3. But yeah, maybe for the next research, I will revise all this method, etc. This is the first approach. And now I can conclude it after weighing to multiplied by score that British standard give the best approach. I'm very much expecting that government or any government bodies can adopt or can follow or continue this research, or I myself will drive myself to continue this research. So as soon as possible, Indonesia can have the standards, reducing the possibility of any confusion, etc. That's all. Thank you, Bu Hera. Good evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay.
Bye-bye. Sorry for all the disturbance.
Okay, so this is Budia is the last presenter for this session. Before we go through to the question and answer, would you please open your video camera, and the host will be take a photo for us. Okay. Please open your video camera, your video, so everybody, the host can be captured your. This is for absent. Iya, Pak Istiar, monggo dibuka. Okay, done. A host. Okay, I think it's done. Okay, then we go to question and answer. Actually, the time is very limited. I think there are some questions, but maybe just one question that I will deliver to Ibu Eka. Eka, yeah. Yes, yeah. I think Eka Nurjana. As we know that the public transport the user of public transport, usually there are two types, choice and captive. Do you make different analysis for both, or you mix it all? And what do you think that to increase the satisfaction performance based on your analysis? Okay. Ibu Eka, you can answer the question. If you're ready.
Excuse me, can you please repeat the first question?
Okay. Actually, this is for just one question. As you know that the user has two criteria, choice and captive. And based on your research, what do you think to do to increase what Jabodetabek satisfaction for both of those, except if you're analyzing a mix of those? If you spread the analyzing between captive and choice, it should be there are two information, there are two idea how to increase the satisfaction for both user, or if you're analyzing mix for all the respondent without separately for both user, just give the your idea then.
Okay, so I I didn't separate between the captive and the choice, and also based on my research, based on the result obtained, the factors that contribute in the intention of people to use KRL are punctuality, comfort in waiting for the train, stops behavior, fares, clean lines, and so on. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Sorry, again, what your suggestion then to increase the satisfaction, the user satisfaction?
To increase the user satisfaction is to what to maintain the punctuality, the increase the comfort in waiting for the train, and also the staff's behavior, the fares of the train, and also the increase the clean lines,
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Eka, for your answer. I think time is up. We have a very limited time, unfortunately. Thank you very much for your present, and thank you very much for your attention, for your attendance for this session. This is session 2 for parallel session. I hope you still enjoying to continuing attending the ICCER for tomorrow. Again, apologize if any inconvenience incurred for this session. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ya Pak Is.